So I saw this and it immediately just irritated me because it's like it just proves the agenda that's out. Like it just proves the situation that I talk about on this channel. Why I wish that I had did an at-home birth. Well, I wish I wish I had done a lot of things differently, but at-home birth with a midwife. I talk about, having a midwife and how we had that in the past. Our ancestors had that in our history book, which is the Bible, King James Version. One of the good recommendations. It's just like crazy. It says Dallas couples sues Texas after the state took their newborn for a month because they chose an at-home midwife birth over traditional ER. Okay, so the fact that these people can actually have the ability to take your child is absolutely wild. And it does have something to do with the signing of the birth certificate, the creating of the birth certificate, a social security number. And it also has to do with it's a certain, and it's hard to find this information. Obviously, you have to know certain people, you have to pay off certain people. It's just like there's this whole secret thing that you gotta go through to understand. But I did see a clip and I'm still looking into it. I hope that the information can make its way to me. I'm just going to speak that into existence. But essentially, the government technically, through their eyes, owns your child, okay, meaning that they can become the parent guardian of your youth if they want. That's how they're able to go and just now. There are situations where there are neglectful parents. There are situations where there are parents that are not fit, especially in this world where Satan is breaking apart marriage, the structure of marriage. There's a lot of single moms that are, babies having babies, so they not completely equipped mentally to do all of those things. There are a lot of fathers who don't want to take on the responsibilities because they're babies themselves. So it's a lot. They could use it against us in the ways that they want to do. A perfect example of that is when the Alphabet Club, okay, the situation, you can't really talk about them, but essentially where they were letting 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds say if they felt like they weren't their gender anymore, that they can do snip snip and do all these different type of things where the school will take action and take them away from their parents. There's this lady, it was so sad. Her I'm gonna insert the pictures, but her daughter, they took her away from her because she said she felt like she was supposed to be, a boy, and they snip, chop, chop, and butchered her up. When she came back, she was so depressed she took her own life. So it's just like now she's not only just lost her daughter once, but she lost her twice because it's like you can you imagine you changing your daughter? That's your little girl turn into a little boy. It's like you just lost something. And then even though yes, it's still her soul, that's just her body, but it's that then she actually really lost her. And it's just sad. A Black couple from Dallas area is suing the state of Texas after their newborn daughter was taken from them for nearly a month, all because they chose to follow the care plan of their licensed midwife instead of going to the emergency room to treat her mild jaundice. And that's a whole nother thing that's very interesting because I don't know about you, but foreigners, we give our youth some water, okay? And not a whole bunch, but they push don't give your youth water. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not telling you to go out and get a whole big bottle of water and give your 3-month-old. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I I started giving them more and more water as they got older, and I noticed my youth had mild jaundice. I kept getting told they're not allowed to drink water, but then when I get home, my mom, and I'm grateful that she told me this, was to start giving them water, and it was clearing up. Now I do understand the reasons why they're saying it. But I can't believe everything they say in the medical system because they try to use it against you to do X, Y, and Z. They said that their liver or their kidney, I forgot which one, filters water, but it's the size of a grape, so it can't handle all the fluids from the breast milk or the formula, which formula is trash, by the way. They can't handle, especially if your baby formula, they're going to be more congested. Similac or Enfamil, one of them are in a lawsuit because they messing up the baby's stomachs, all type of different stuff. It's just interesting that they weren't letting them treat the jaundice on their own. Like they feel like they have to step in because, and there were no hospitals and stuff like that, until recently in this time. So why? And before that, women were giving birth, and they keep acting like we need them for every single thing. Like if there's something that you can't handle, God is in charge of whether we live or not. So it says Tamika and Rodney Jackson say their pediatrician involved police and CPS without taking the time to understand their decision, setting off a traumatic situation that ended with their days-old baby being taken from Tamika's arms and placed into foster care. Crazy. You see, you have two parents married at that.
By the way, I think getting married through the government is a scam. Don't know how they did it, but just letting you know.
Trying to build a family unit. I don't know these people, I don't know what they about, and you go and you just take them because they care about their child. It reminds me about the other situation of these other parents whom they had like CPS looking into them because their child was diagnosed with cancer, and they started giving him marijuana. The cancer started to go away. So then CPS started looking into them. It's just like, it's just wild. But there is a way. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's just like the way to put it is get back ownership over your use from that clause, from the paperwork and legalities that they've created. It's just that it's not openly out there to public. But trust, once I have the information, I'm definitely interested in knowing how to maneuver, because that shouldn't be allowed. You should not be allowed to just take somebody's, the one that I spent 9-10 months. I'm like, obviously we're not creating the child, we're not knitting the child in our womb, but we're the vessel. We're holding the youth, we're feeding them, we're trying to eat healthier, all this stuff. We're going through the pain of the delivery for you to just come through and make medical decisions for me just because you feel like you have degrees, just because you feel like you have all this stuff. I'm not saying that there aren't situations where there's an emergency or there's been an accident or something like that and you need medical attention or something like that. I'm not saying that those things aren't, useful. But at the end of the day, it's Yah who decides whether or not you can have all the fancy equipment, you can have all of these different things. But if Yah doesn't approve of this person surviving, it's just not going to happen. But it says the couple says the experience robbed them of precious bonding time. Of course, that's the first month, and wrongly labeled them in the state's child abuse registry. Now they're in the child abuse registry, even though their baby was healthy, showed no signs of harm, and was under regular medical care. The state reportedly took the baby because of a jaundice diagnosis. They be taking the wrong all the time, and I'm hearing about all these kids, and I think it's in New York, that are passing away because they're in the apartments just starving. Like they're not taking those actions to go and seek that, but they're over here doing the most over jaundice, which is something that most newborns have from the rip. So it's like their lawsuit takes aim at, which I think it has something to do with the water, but I'm not sure. Their lawsuit takes aim at what they say are unfair state practices, and criminalization informs parenting decisions, particularly when those decisions are made by Black families. Right. All right. And that's why God has put it on me to create a book about my experiences, because I went, unfortunately, was in hospitals, but gratefully it was blessed because I had delivered four healthy deliveries. But the way that I was treated, the way that things went, there's decisions that I made that I wish that I didn't make, consequences that I'm dealing with today, different things that they don't talk about on the internet, or you're not allowed to talk about, which is a red flag within itself. I wonder if they gave their baby those, the okey pokey. Okay, if they did, because that in itself, like, y'all, like, I can't say too much on that, but it's a huge no. And but these are just some of the things that if I had known, and it was brought to my attention, but because you're just like worried of being labeled as a bad parent, because if they want to guilt trip you whenever you say certain things in the doctor's office, or the nurses look at you sideways, like, oh, you're such a horrible parent, why would you not want to blah blah blah. Like, it's just sad. And I hope that they could sue and get and keep going and put time, effort, energy, make this a top priority, because it's messed up, and making sure that they get they bread, because that's disrespectful. Why would you take away a healthy, well taken care of, far as we could see? That's one of the reasons why it's just so important to have that relationship with the Most High and have His protection. Not saying that things aren't going to happen. God knows what you can handle, and hopefully that this is being put out there is going to shed light on the situation. But if you do want to show your support, that book has over a few hundred pages and counting, with a value. It's not going to be about how to hold a baby and how to properly hold the bottle or feed the baby, or how to properly breastfeed, but it's going to be about the things that people don't really talk about. So you want to get edified and have an Add some books to your arsenal if you are expecting. The link is in the description. But I'm gonna read some of the comments. It says, "Excuse me. So when did home birth not become an option, and we have Black women are unaliving every day in the hospital after trial birth because of lack of appropriate care?" Facts. Meanwhile, more Black women are at maternal risk being in the hospital. Hope they win. What effing judge signs that order? Who is the caseworker? Fire them all. Facts. SMH jaundice can be treated at home. Just put the baby out in the sun for a few hours. Most pediatricians will recommend that. Didn't know that. I'm gonna need $1 million for each day pain and suffering without my child. Yeah, facts. Facts. Yeah, you need to like pay. They need to pay up. What at WTF took the newborn and did what? This is sad that they want every person youth to be in the system cash. They will. Yeah, they do. They do. And it's just like, it's all a money grab at the end of the day. It's just a shame that it has to go down like that. Although the baby eventually returned and case status is downgraded to unable to determine, the Jacksons remain on the state's central registry. Their lawsuit supported the American Civil Liberties Union, argues the DFPS actions violated their constitutional rights and disproportionately affected them as a Black family. She should have been safe in our arms. Instead, she was abruptly separated from us, losing the vital bond between newborn. Right. Like, what is wrong with these people? They just have no heart. We will never get that stolen time back. The couple seeks to have their names removed from the registry and to challenge the policies that allow for their daughter's removal without due process. DFPS was declined to comment on pending litigation. Of course, they don't want to comment because they're just trash. But with all that being said, I hope that you were edified in this video. And if you do like content, like this, feel free to hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment, seek that relationship with the Most High, create a relationship with Jesus Christ, and read your Bible, even if it's a few pages a day. Get edified, and we only have but a certain amount of time in this grace period. But be blessed.